a couple different places, but I'm going to do a screen share here in a minute. Today we're talking about the fall scholarship, what we want to do for the stress last week. I do plan on bringing on my golden retrievers, like I said, the common of the two. But you know, if we want to do a particular event or item or you know, thing for Phi Theta Kappa, I do want to brainstorm a couple ideas for that. Also, update on honors and action and college project. We're woefully behind on these things, but that doesn't mean that it would be impossible to get projects in and still complete them. So, first and foremost, I want to take a look at the fall scholarship because that is due next Thursday, the application. Now, in the fall scholarship application, this gets you twofold things. One, you can enter for a number of interesting and profitable Phi Theta Kappa transfer scholarships, and that applies to both technical students and academic track students. Secondly, it puts you in the running for the All-Alabama academic team, which means of the state's community college students, of which there's 150,000, I think, you would be in the top 50 or so students and recognized as such. So it's a really cool thing. Now, our school currently gets 2 nominations for all 15 campuses, total, or 2 winners. But each, I'm not calling them districts anymore, each section gets up to 2 nominees, or you get up to 2 nominees per campus. So I'm the nominator for Bruton and Atmore. The way that process goes is you fill out your application, and me and a couple of the faculty members will figure out who our nominees should be. So it's not just me, unless of course there's only 2 applicants, in which case I would just submit those. Question?
So there's like 30 applicants, like 30 nominees all in total, but 2 won.
Correct. Potentially. The smaller campuses, Atmore, for example, or Gulf Shores, don't always have 2 people that fill out the application. Gilbertown, Jackson. But certainly you're going to get 2 from Bay Minette, 2 from Bruton, 2 from Monroeville at minimum, and probably 2 from Thomasville as well. So I would say you're probably going against 8 as opposed to 30. It would be 8 to 10. And considering the qualifications of everybody in this room and everybody in PTK, I don't think that's outside the realm of possibility. Now, for all Alabama, you do have to be a PTK member, not probationary. Thank you, provisionary. I knew it started with a P. So let me just take you through the fall scholarship, how to get to it, and all that sort of stuff. So do a quick screen share. So the people that aren't here today, weren't able to make it, can still see what's what. Now on the Phi Theta Kappa website, you can go to the scholarship page and it'll tell you all of the scholarship categories that they have available to students. Also, the PTK Connect. This is kind of cool because you put in some basic information. It might take you a little while the first time, but then it tells you whatever scholarships you're eligible for nationwide. College Fish does this as well. But in addition to the categories, what we're going to do to get to our scholarship application is, once you're signed into PTK, then type in my.ptk.org. Now it's going to take you to a bunch of Hallmark reporting stuff, and I have extra stuff since I'm an advisor. But one of the buttons you are going to get is this little triangle here, Fall Scholarship Application. Now the cool thing about this is the first thing it does is it asks you an eligibility questionnaire. So you can find out not only what you're eligible for, but it also starts entering some information. I was fooling around with this earlier just to see what's going on with it. Now, once you fill out all of this information, which is basically how many credits you're going to complete, are you a citizen, your ethnic makeup, all that sort of stuff. Have you previously been an all-Alabama nominee? Since we tend to nominate sophomores, I doubt any, who did we nominate last year? I'm trying to remember. Nathan. I think he was the only one with a complete application. So he was our school's nominee. Unfortunately, he didn't win. He did go against a couple young ladies from Monroeville who were the type of people that you wonder if they ever sleep, because they do everything. So there was no shame in not giving the nomination, because Nathan had a very competitive application. Okay, so once you complete this, you click on Get the Eligible Sections. You can also download it if you want to read this stuff. And then it's going to take you to the scholarship application. Now, the scholarship application has only a couple of essays, and they're pretty short. Things that you want to focus on as you're filling out the application. When it asks you about accomplishments and maybe challenges or things that you've done in the past, it's really going to want you to focus on what you've done since you've been in college. If you have to talk about stuff that you did in high school, that's fine. Or if it's something that you did in high school and you have continued, like a youth group participation, especially if you've gotten more involved since you've been in college, that's fine. But if you can, it's better to focus on something that you, like the haunted house, if you were involved with that. It's much better to focus on stuff that you've done since you've been in college as opposed to high school. Now, if you just need something to fill out a space on the application, then high school works or activities are important. But the other main thing you want to concentrate on, besides focusing on stuff you've done in college whenever possible, is tell your story, okay? I've read lots of scholarship applications in the past, and the most frustrating thing, I guess, for me is when I read a student who I know is awesome, and they've got a lot of good things to tell, they've done a lot of great things, and they have a great personality, but that doesn't really come through in their application. And when I send out this video today, the link for this video, I will send out a copy of some award-winning applications so you can kind of see an example of what they look like. It's a little late in the game, but we do have a 3-day weekend coming up. You know, it'd probably take you a couple hours to fill out the application. Wow, that seems like a lot of time. Well, if you think about the money you could earn per hour, if you just get a $500 scholarship, you know, how many of you would work a job that earns you $250 an hour? I'm guessing all of you. So both folks in here and those who are listening. So definitely worth your while. And then the nominees have to be in by December 1st. So probably during Thanksgiving week, I would contact a couple of teachers to review applications if we have more than 2 that are complete. And then what we're going to do is try to polish them up a little bit and make them really sing. So if you want my help and you can finish your application by Monday, by the end of the day on Monday or so, Tuesday I would drop everything to give you feedback on that. So please utilize me, or if you want to talk to Ms. Deacle or other teachers to help out. So any questions about the fall scholarship application? This entitles Coca-Cola scholarships, bronze, silver, and gold, all USA scholarship potentially, which you can win even if you don't win all Alabama, which is strange, but definitely possible. Geiswhite scholarship, Jack Kent Cook, and most of these scholarships come with at least $1,000 in money, and I wish it was more, but you know, it's at least books for free your first semester when you transfer. Yeah, you don't have to complete it all at once. So actually, if you wanted to, what some people do is they'll fill out most of the kind of nuts and bolts stuff first, and then they'll think about their essays and maybe draft it and then type it in. Yeah, you don't have to fill it all out at once.
When you said you can come back later and I'll ask you about it, like, it'll say you can just go and look.
I can go into yours and look. Since I'm a nominator, I have that access.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever information you put in there, I have access to. But, you know, I'm not going to misuse that information. If nothing else, other than trying to be an ethical person, it'd be pretty easy to trace, you know. So, no, I just use the nominator information for to determine who our nominees are going to be. Other questions? And even if you're not transferring this year, it's worthwhile to fill it out because there are some scholarships that can be deferred. So, okay, that was a big thing there. Let's get to stress less week. This is an honors program initiative. It's finals week or the week before? Very finals. SGA is talking about doing coffee and donuts one day. Honors has various things planned. What are some of your ideas that maybe we could do for PTK that would relieve stress? I could go buy a giant roll of bubble pop, or, you know, little packing bubbles. That's something. We bring in a massage therapist.
That would be fantastic. It will take the whole time.
That way we probably have to get somebody to come in that would work for relatively, you know, maybe just work for tips. Was Honors planning on doing a bake sale, or was that one of the ideas that they wanted a group to do?
I want to say that was Honors as a whole.
Okay. Well, we can certainly, as PTK, participate in the bake sale. Like I said, I'm willing to bring one of my dogs up. He's not puppy anymore. He's a big glue, but he's friendly and happy and all that stuff. So that would be a good thing as well. So why don't we, for the time being, count on working with Honors and making sure PTK has a strong presence in addition to what Honors is doing at those events. Now, Honors in Action and college projects. I know particularly with the college project we're behind. We've done some research with Honors in Action. That's a little in the baby stages of this. What day is a good day for a work day? Because we need to take about a 2 to 3 hour day and just say we're going to have this done, this done, this done, and this done, and we're going to do it. And even if it's not spectacular, it's going to be done. So what days of the week work for you? Let's go around.
I'm on Tuesdays and Thursdays. But on Tuesdays, I'm here till 3 with leadership and orientation.
Okay.
So either one of those things.
Well, and we can start work day at 2 with the sophomores and students who are in honors, and then you can join afterwards. For you?
Tuesday, Thursday.
Tuesday, Thursday?
Anytime, after one.
Okay. We don't have honors next week, do we? Okay, well, why don't we plan on Tuesday at 2 to meet? So Tuesday at 2, I will send a calendar invite to everybody in PTK. And this is doable, but it's not going to be perfect. As long as we go into it with that expectation, I think we'll get something that we can live with. Now, my plan had been to do Krispy Kreme during finals week. However, as a fundraiser, SGA was going to do coffee and donuts as part of their Stress Less week. activities.
On vacation.
What?
On vacation.
No, it's true.
Pancakes and oranges.
Well, pancake breakfast would be fun, but I don't know if we. Is there a flat top in the kitchen in the student center?
I highly doubt it.
I don't know.
Because pancakes,
What?
you can get a bunch of Bisquick at Sam's Club. It's not that expensive.
Yeah, they do that sometimes. That's nice.
If you have one of those pancake clicker things that they have at pancake breakfast, it really isn't that hard. Which they may have in that kitchen. I don't know what's in there.
I didn't forget them.
The kitchen?
Yes.
You ain't going to the
I've been in that kitchen, but I haven't been in there for very long, so I'm not real aware of the equipment. We have done pre-search pecans in the past, but that's a real hit or miss because you have to buy boxes and not individuals, and sometimes you get an order for 2 things that comes in a box of 10, and then you're stuck. I'm trying to.
We need that cookie. So,
Well, I've often wanted to have toyed with the idea of doing a run walk, a fun run with the track out here. Not even necessarily a 5K, maybe a 3K, which is like 2.1 miles. Is not too far. That we could do in the beginning of the semester, and then have some hot chocolate and apple cider and stuff afterwards. Because if you're t-shirt printing like with one color, probably get the t-shirts for $5, $6 a piece, and if the entry fee is say $15, $20, you get to keep whatever. I've toyed with that idea in the past. How many people do you think realistically would participate? We could probably get the coaches to make. Just speaking honestly, we could probably get the coaches to make baseball, softball, and basketball participate.
I know that softball did a color run a couple years back around like the school, and they went really well.
Yeah, the only thing I don't know about is the dye, the powder dye, or I've seen both powder dye and foam.
I did the powder.
Okay, yeah, especially if it's going to be, say, in January or early February, that would be a little chilly. So the foam would be cold. So that might be, and especially if we did it like end of January before the baseball and softball season starts, it'd be good for their conditioning. And it would give us the opportunity to sell other things at the events. We could get the grill and just sell hot dogs and hamburgers afterwards for relatively cheap. Something that could be labor intensive, but I'm looking at something that probably pay for a couple people's international convention registration. So, speaking of international convention, I'm going to put in a purchase order this week for 6 students and 1 advisor. Now, if we want to go beyond that, we're probably going to have to fundraise at least portions of it. And also, if you're going to international, I am going to ask for a somewhat small deposit that you would get back once we're there. So it'd be like, it's basically like a Christmas club for Disney. So I just want to make sure that we have a commitment. And the way that it's going to work is if you tell me that you pay your deposit, you tell me you're going on the trip. If for some reason you can't make it, it's up to you to find your replacement. So that's how that's going to work. Questions on all this stuff? April 4th through 6th in Orlando. So we will either caravan with the North District with their chapter in the vans. That's Monroeville.
I mean, they're all right.
Or we'll take the Faulkner bus, which means we'd have to come back Saturday night and drive through the night. Not the Faulkner bus, the South District bus, I'm sorry. Still says JD on the water
They're
tower.
like leave early. You have like time.
Yes, they were planning on going a day early to let everybody do what parks they want to. If it's the same way it was the last time in Orlando, they'll have an afternoon off with a discounted rate for the parks, which the chapter would pay for your admission. Basically, you get a ticket that lets you into one of like 3 parks at a discounted rate, and you get to pick which one you go to.
How are they going to do like the sessions like they did at Kansas City, like how they do sessions?
Mm-hmm.
How are they, and like all day, like one big area, what are they going to do?
At this one, they have a big convention. Actually, I think the Swan and Dolphin, they both have tunnels that go to the convention facilities.
And the hotels.
Mm-hmm. Now you have to walk outside.
So I won't be running late. Still probably running late. We won't be that far away.
Yes.
Oh, no, in Kansas City, we were so bad. Ariel was like, "You want to come back and get my camera?" We made it like we were almost there, and we could see it. We were like, "This next session is in like 10 minutes. We're not going to make it." Especially walking, and it was cold.
Yeah, Kansas City was a little chilly. It's been in Minnesota before. About 10 years ago, it was in Minneapolis. In like early April, they got snowed on. And flights got delayed coming up. So there was
It
snow.
was interesting because I was like, "Oh, I get to see the city. Most people walking around."
Well, a few years ago in DC, we got snow. So, yeah.
I kind of want to know, like, when they come look at ourselves.
Okay, other questions about international or this stuff? All right, so let's plan on a work day Tuesday. I will put time and place in the calendar for you. And also, I will send those sample applications out in the email where I send this stuff. So we'll plan on a meeting. I don't know, should we just do meeting weeks where, you know, we have honors on Tuesday and then PTK, or would you rather alternate? Well, let's try doing it in the same week so you have 1 week on and 1 week off and see how it goes. Okay, so we'll plan on meeting 3 weeks from today because we have Thanksgiving week.